Hello there and welcome back. This is Luke. Okay, just following on from yesterday's video on the introductory video on nasal breathing. This video I'm going to be talking about the importance of the efficiency of our breath and also to give you a simple test that you can conduct every morning, and then you can see how your test score improves if you implement a regime where you remind yourself to nose breathe or nasal breathe more on a daily basis. Because the goal really is we need to retrain our brain to use nasal breathing as our default breathing rather than breathing through the mouth. And as I alluded to in yesterday's video, over 50% of the population are chronic mouth breathers. So when we're talking about nasal breathing, our objective here is for oxygen efficiency, breathing efficiency. If we're breathing through our mouth, we're only using the top half of our chest, and we're only going to be implicating the sympathetic nervous system in terms of how that breath impacts our physiological state. That is going to trigger, like I said in yesterday's video, the hormonal response and set us in a flight or fight mode. Bad juju. So with efficiency and breathing through our nose, when we start getting our breath more controlled and deeper, we start moving the framework of our breath to include not only our chest, but our abdominal and our diaphragm areas, where we start achieving 75, 85% volume full of our breath work. When we start doing that, we start triggering the sympathetic nervous system, where we become calmer and more in hand with what we need to do and how we interact and deal with life around us. That's why it's so important. Not only is breath work itself critical for our own well-being, but the process, the meditative process of triggering that sense of well-being is essential for every aspect of your life. And it's essential if you want to improve your food, in exercise, your relationships, your connection, and your ability to connect with other people. So that's why breath work is so important. Not only the physiological benefits, but also how we psychologically interact and connect. So again, back to efficiency. We want to avoid mouth breathing and only filling up 20-25% of our capacity, and we want to do nasal breathing. Slow inhale, slow exhale. So nasal breathing gives us that ability. The goal in terms of how many breaths per minute we should be working on in terms of the efficiency, I guess the blue ribbon level or the monk level is somewhere around 4 or 5 breaths per minute. So that is a 5-second inhale, a 5-second exhale, 5 or 6 times. That's really a nice target point, which is very achievable for all of us. Most people these days breathe anywhere between 10 and 14 breaths per minute. If you're suffering high anxiety, depression, you've got sleep apnea, other sleeping respiratory issues and things like that, it could be as high as 20, even when you're asleep. So with a focused effort on our nasal breathing, we can not only become more efficient with the amount of breaths we're taking every minute, but like I said before, it engages our parasympathetic nervous system, and we become calmer and we become relaxed, and we become much more able to interact with the very complicated, difficult, challenging world that's around us. So that's where we need to become more efficient. And I'll talk about breathwork activities in the next video. But just to finish off in this video, I want to provide you a very simple test that you can do every morning, and that's called the BOLT test, the B-O-L-T test, which means body oxygen level test. And this should be done first thing in the morning. And it's very simple that you just sit down, you take a very normal breath in, you take a very normal breath out, you have your iPhone ready on the timer mode, you take the very slow nasal breath out. Once you finish that nasal breath, you block your nose and you start the timer. You turn off the timer, or you release the nose and look at the clock. As soon as you start getting that physiological response to start breathing again, that's your end point. Okay, so don't keep holding your nose. So as soon as you feel that trigger to breathe again, release the hand, look at the time, and our goal is 45 seconds. Now, if you're 25 seconds or under, it's a fairly good indicator that there is some breathing disparity that needs to be remedied. And this can be easily remedied on the whole, generally speaking, if you don't have any medical predispositions, if you start doing a daily nasal breathing exercise. So that'll be the next video on some basic breathing exercises, but I would recommend, so we all have a benchmark in terms of where we are right now with our breathing capacity, and we create a benchmark, is to do the BOLT test. And again, to repeat, sit down quietly in the morning, first thing in the morning, get your phone out, put it on timer mode, take a nice gentle breathe out, don't force the breath out, don't take a big deep breath in, it's a normal breath through the nose, breathe it out, exhale through the nose, block the nose, set the timer, and as soon as you're triggered to breathe again, look at the time, and that is your benchmark in terms of your breath work. I would love to hear anybody who has done the BOLT test and you feel open enough to put the figures down below. I can tell you that when I first started doing this years ago, my first test was, cardiovascular wise, I'm fairly fit and healthy, came in about 32, and I'll be happy to divulge where I can get my breath work up to now. But it's not a competition, but it's a very good benchmark, and you can see how you can improve your efficiency and your lung capacity in a very short amount of time, in a matter of weeks, if you start practicing deep nasal breathing on a regular basis with the view of making sure that you can try and breathe that way most of the time in a natural, relaxed state of mind. When you're around the house, when you're walking, when you're socialising, that sort of stuff. If we can breathe like that way, we're going to be in a calm, parasympathetic state of mind, which benefits everybody. Okay, that's me. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye.